Hey guys, Frank here, your virtual general aviation aviator, and today I am going to give you my top five rundown of bush aircraft for 2021. And we are going to start with the Prop Strike Studio Cessna 172. Now, this 172 is actually based on Laminar Research Default 172. And what PropStrike has done is converted it into a tail dragger, and they have reworked the cockpit panel, which we'll get to in just a minute. So the 172 actually come in two variants. It also come in a tricycle gear variant. Now, what I like is these Tundra tires that's on it, and believe it or not, guys, these tires for aircraft, these bush tires for aircraft, are crazy, unbelievably expensive in real life. Okay, so let's hop on the inside. And as I mentioned, he has reworked the panel. And for me, I do prefer, at least in the sim, steam gauges because they are a lot easier on my eyes. I tend to be able to find stuff a lot quicker with the glass panels. It's kind of tough when I'm looking at a 27-inch monitor at something that's scaled down. But in real life, I understand that glass is the bomb. In real life, the panels would be 15 inches, up to 15 inches a piece. And, it's a lot easier to see and find things at a glance than it is looking at a small monitor in the sim. But anyway, I digress. So let's just get this guy started right quick. So we'll do fuel pump on. And out and master on, and crack the throttle. Fuel pump can go off now. Prop clear. And there we go. So let's just do quick a quick takeoff here. And we are actually at, I think this is Quantum River. This scenery package is also available from PropStrike. All right, so let's make sure our brakes are released. Let's just get rid of this yoke here. And as you know, in the default Cessna, if you remove one yoke, both yokes go away. So let's just now again, this is a tail dragger, so you really have to pay attention to what you're doing on those rudders. All right. So full power in. That tail has come up. Rotate. Let's break out over these trees. So this guy is number 5. I just had one of my number four. Number four is the Carbon Cub by Big Tar Productions from that's available at the org store. Now, this guy has been modded, and I do recommend that if you do get the Carbon Cub, then you actually go to explain.org and get the mods, the mods that were made by Josh M. And there's another guy who's made some mods whose name elude me, but just go to .org and go to Big Tar Productions payware support page, and you will definitely find a title that says mods use at your own risk. And there you can correct some things that might help the aircraft fly a little better. Now, this too comes in two different variants, and I think this is the steam variant. So let's get this guy started and get up in the air. So I'm gonna pump the mixture just a little bit and prime it. Of course, the primer is not modeled, but just for the sake of immersion. And let's turn our master on, and let's go ahead and get it started. All right, and we have a good start. Okay, so let's turn our avionics on. And let's turn our multifunction display on so that we can see our engine parameters. Probably should have did that first. Okay, so oil is a little cool. It's still in the red here, but as soon as it get out, well, actually, let's not wait till it get out of the red. I don't think damages are really modeled on this aircraft, so it's not going to hurt anything to go ahead and take off now. I'm at some, as you can see, some grassy airstrip. I think I'm in Kansas somewhere. Don't exactly know where, but that's okay. I just want to show you the aircraft. All right, so let's go ahead and release our brakes. And the brakes, incidentally, I think the parking, I never found a parking brake, so it's tied to my keyboard using the X-Plane default brake release. Throttle. Okay, and let's just go ahead and, for good measure, throw in some flaps. Throttle up, and let's turn the F on, the PDF, I mean. There we go, and we're up. What's really good, what I like so much about the Carbon Cub is that you can land this guy just about anywhere. It's fun to just go out and find some sand dune or some short piece of highway and just set it down. So with the mods, this guy really does make a wonderful aircraft to fly. And of course, as with any tail dragger aircraft, it does take some getting used to the rudders when landing. This is also a really good aircraft that I like to use when I want to check out some ortho scenery. I don't. This location that I'm at is not ortho scenery, but this is really a cool aircraft to explore scenery because of its slow flight characteristics. I think stall is somewhere around 45 knots, maybe 50 miles per hour. So just to show you the slow flight, and so this is a great aircraft to fly if you wanted to fly over your neighborhood and get a peek at your house. So I'm at 55 knots and I haven't stalled, and I'm at 50 knots and I haven't stalled. So you can see how long I can just focus on what's below me. 45. All right. And you may have noticed that I did drop my some flaps to keep the aircraft stable in slow flight. Number three is the GHC3 Turbo Otter by VFlyteAir. Now, this guy is more of a commercial aircraft than it is just a get out and enjoy the countryside aircraft, but nevertheless, I do enjoy flying it. Let's just pop into the cockpit of it, and as you can see, it too has that old school look. This, the de Havilland aircraft company was really popular in the 40s and 50s, and I think they produced most of their aircraft between the late 40s and the late 60s. I'm not sure when production ceased on this aircraft. Of course, I do think you can still get variants of it from um, Viking era in Canada. Anyway, uh, I have replaced the default Garmin with the GTN 750 Garmin, and I guess you guys really don't need to hear me yibbity yak. Let me go ahead and let's get this guy started. All right, so we got fuel turned on. Let's just raise these guys, get the master turned on. Okay, master is on. And let's check out fuel pump. Fuel 1 is on. Let's take it off and check fuel 2. Fuel pump 2 is working as expected. Let's go back to fuel pump 1 and check our condition level. Our condition is turned off, and what we're going to do is check our torque um, here, and let's see, when we turn the ignition on and hit our starter and hold it for a couple seconds, you can see it is lighting off. Go ahead and move that condition lever to run, and for some reason this is the second time in a row that my torque gauge did not come alive. Let's go ahead and turn our alternator on, and we can turn our fuel booster pump off, and I am not starting this in the order or the way it should be started, but I do know how to start a turbo engine well enough to get it to run. Okay, ground steering is on. We're on the runway, so let's go ahead and turn our strobes on and our beacon, which we should have turned on long before. And let's lock our tail wheel. Okay, and we go ahead and take off. Now I'm at Sulphur Creek Ranch in Idaho. And it's going to be tough taking off without a torque indicator, because we definitely don't want to over torque it if we can. And the lights are on. So just an outside check. So we'll give it some torque. And this is a big, heavy aircraft. Let's go ahead and get that torque on up there so that we can get our speed up to get airborne to clear these trees. The road, we should lift out at about 65 or so. And we are, to be honest with you guys, I was a little late putting in flaps. I should have put them in before takeoff, but I put them in on my takeoff roll. And as with most X-plane aircraft, they do come in different liveries. I have not changed the livery for this one. This is the, I think this is the Canadian Harbor Air livery, even though I'm in Idaho. Okay, so let's come back on that prop a little bit. And yeah, so this is the VFlyteAir de Havilland DHC-3 Turbo Otter. This aircraft originally had a WASP engine in it, and a lot of the variants today have been converted to a turbo version, as is this one. And as with most backcountry aircraft, this one does have the ability to do extremely short takeoff and landings, even though it's as big as it is. And it is quite a good sized aircraft. I think it's based on the Beaver. So this is an aircraft that's surely bound to provide hours of in-flight immersion. Number two. So my number two is the de Havilland GHC-2 Beaver, which is an awesome aircraft. And one of the things that make this aircraft so awesome and so great to fly is the immersion that you get when you fly the Thranda version. Now, this is the Thranda version of the aircraft, and I really enjoy this version. As you can see, I do have the SMS version, the Soul Made Sim version of this aircraft also. Let's just pop in the Tundra tires for it. And if you guys focus on the tires for me, then you will see that this guy also have the nice backcountry Tundra tire option. Um, Either version of these aircraft will provide you hours and hours of immersion in flying backcountry. Both of them are great aircraft to start, to fly, that is. But as far as a favorite, the Thranda version takes the cake. So this is the version that we'll do a quick flight in, just to get it off the ground here. So let's get it started. All right, so first thing we want to do is go ahead and move the yoke and turn our fuel on. All right, front tank. And let's wobble up the pressure on the fuel line. I like to call it pumping the Beaver. Okay, pump it, and it's pumped. And now let's go ahead and get some fuel in the carburation system. I'm not even sure this aircraft have the traditional carburetor. And that's 5. So that should do it. And let's go ahead and crack the throttle just a little bit and move our mixture and our prop to full forward. I can stop this guy fully feathered or feathered. Okay. So master comes on, beacon light comes on, and prop clear. And we got a good start. Now, one thing about this guy, we don't want to rev it up. I'm seeing 20 on the manifold pressure, but it should come down. Actually, it's 20 because I got it feathered. I got it feathered up. So let me just bring the feathering back and let it drop. And generally speaking, you just want to let it sit and warm up. All right, alternator can come on, and so can the avionics. Okay, so in our case, we are going to take off cold, so we're going to pump these flaps down to takeoff and let you get a good look on the outside of her. And I swapped aircraft and didn't change the livery, so let me just pop the livery in, and that shouldn't take but a moment. And we are done. Actually, it took a little bit longer than a moment, but through the miracle of video, it only took a moment for you. All right, so let's take a quick look around. And isn't this guy gorgeous? All right, so that big radial engine got us sitting high with a nose high attitude, and we won't see over the cowling until our tail comes up, which it will at about 60 knots actually. And when it comes up, well, at about 60 knots, we actually should be leaving the ground. So let's release our brake and power up to about 33 on the manifold pressure. Dance on them rudders to keep straight down the runway. And we are up. Maybe dancing on the rudder a little bit too, what word am I looking for? Aggressively. So, we are in the Grand Canyon. Isn't that cool? And as you can see, the canyon is just ahead of us. So at our altitude, we probably want to pull that mixture back some. So this guy is textured and modeled to the max. We've got overhead lights, and if it was night, you'd be able to see it light up with that button. We got working wing tanks, and needless to say, we got the Beaver trim system, as you'll find it in the real aircraft. We've got cockpit lights above. So for a Beaver, I would almost say that this guy is pretty much decked out. So I probably would want to pour the RPMs back to about 1900 and keep our manifold pressure around 30, and that's probably I do have the manual printed out for this aircraft. I fly it so much, but I don't recall exactly what the best cruise parameters are. But you can see how much immersion there is in this aircraft. Let's just pop this yoke back in and get down into that canyon. One thing about this guy, you can land it just about anywhere. Again, if I found a nice sandbar down in that canyon, I could have landed there. This livery is another Canadian livery. Again, I am in the United States flying a Canadian livery plane, but there are no laws against that. All right, so let's just close this guy up and enjoy it for a second. one of my viewers on YouTube suggested that I get X camera, which I do have, and I probably, since I've been making videos pretty often, pretty regularly, I probably should go ahead and invest in using it, just to make the videos more easier and more interesting for you guys. I'm perfectly happy with just using my hat button in the default, yeah, explain views. Okay, so number one. Before we do number one, I do want to do another honorable mention. So it looks like at the bottom of at the lower numbers, Thranda is just sweeping the board. And that second honorable mention would be the Kodiak Quest by, again, by Thranda. This time we're at Lake Ridge in North Carolina, in Durham, North Carolina. And we're just going to do a quick flight off the field. And this guy has such a short takeoff capability that for the weight and size that it too is often flown in the backcountry. The Kodiak is the only bush plane in the bunch here that does have the tricycle gear. I think, let's see if it has the tires. Yeah, it does. Actually, I do have the larger tires on it right now. And as you can see, it also has the pod on it that makes it kind of look like a pregnant guppy. Flaps in, and the pod is user controllable. Let's see. I don't know if I can take it off in flight. Let's try and see what happens. Yeah, there we go. So that's without the pod. But anyway, guys, I do think that the Thranda Kodiak Quest would make an excellent backcountry aircraft for you guys, particularly if you are not interested in flying a tail dragger. So we finally have gotten to that point that we've all been waiting for. And I know that you want to see which aircraft is number one. My number one backcountry bush plane is the Pilatus Porter. The Porter, I find, for me, is the perfect backcountry aircraft. Uh, it's it's a fairly large aircraft, but I like it because it has that turbo engine that will that's capable of getting me out of any trouble that I might find myself in. It's it's got the power. It's just fun to fly. I like the beta range. So if I'm at let's say 10,000 feet and there's a airport at 3,000 feet, then I can drop out of the sky like a rock to make that airport within 4, 5, 6, or 7 miles. Um, it's just a really fun aircraft to fly. It has the capability of carrying a pretty good sized load. Um, some people say that it's not the best looking aircraft, but to be honest with you, I adore the way it looks. it to me, I like the way the fact that it has such a unique look. I guess I've always been an underdog man. This one looks like it does have the turbo tires on it. Um, and let's just double check miscellaneous. And actually, it just had the regular tires on it. Let's put the turbo tires on it. So let's jump out of the aircraft first, and so that we can see those tires pop on. And boom. And let's go ahead and put our mud flaps on. I mean, what good is having a backcountry aircraft in the backcountry when you can kick up mud everywhere? All right, so let's get in this guy and get in the air. Now we're going to start it in no particular order. Let's make sure that pump, our valves are open, which they are. Let's go ahead and turn our master on and look here, make sure that we've got 24 volts, and we do. Go ahead and turn our fuel pump on. Okay, and our fuel pressure is up. Let's turn our starter on, our beacon lights on, and clear prop. Nobody's out there. Our ITT, not ITT, but our NG is up. So let's go ahead and hit our igniters and give it some fuel. ITT is coming up, and it shouldn't hang, should come down now. Our torque is coming up a little bit, and looks like, guys, we are going to have a good start. Let's unfeather it so that turbo will go ahead and wind up. I just love the way it sounds. Okay. And that turbo should come up now. There she is. I just love that. And one thing she says when she starts up is, "You're not going to rush me." All right, let's go ahead and drop in our flaps because this guy don't want to get off the ground without flaps. So we are at McNail Fisheries up in Canada, and this time, guys, we're in Canada with a U.S. tail number 365 Sierra Tango, and we are going to take off, and with no particular route in mind. All right, alternator needs to come on, and the fuel pump and starter and ignition can go off. Actually, we can leave our ignition on in case we lose the engine. We can just hit that starter button and hopefully get a restart. All right. And avionics. Brakes. Is this little guy over here. So let's just grab this guy and push it in. There we go. And we got the brakes released. All right. Condition level can go 4. And we are ready for takeoff. Now, one thing that bites me on landing with this aircraft is a lot of times I forget to lock my tail wheel on takeoff once I'm lined up, which I am. All right, so we're going to give it some torque, and we'll torque up to about 35 here. Our tail is up. We want to get up to about 60 and lift off. Beautiful. She flies like a dream. All right. So let's trim it up and bring them flaps in. And now, one thing I like about Thranda's aircraft is you can pretty much make the cockpit as complex or as simple as you want, and I have chosen to add stuff that makes sense to me, and I just really enjoy this. Is when I say that, this is a custom cockpit panel, and I really enjoy flying this aircraft so much. It's just ridiculous, which is why it's #1 for me. So, guys, what's your favorite bush plane? Leave me a comment below and let me know. And I guess I should at least land at least one time for you. So let's see if we can't get this guy on the ground. And hold on, please. Okay. So I was able to pause the simulation while I took care of the phone call. And let's see if we can't drag this guy in now. So I got flaps 4. And I'm lined up, I think, okay. And let's see, let's try get her down. Don't want to go into reverse. Down, baby. Okay. So that was a landing. Probably not the best one. Probably did hurt some trees. Let's see. I want to unlock my tail wheel so I can turn around. But it's locking that tail wheel is in part what kept me from ground looping, because from experience I've learned that anytime I don't have this, can't seem to get this guy to turn like I want it. There we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. She wanted to go forward. So anyway, guys, this Porter, this Pilatus Porter PC6 is my number one bush backcountry aircraft of 2021. Guys, thanks for watching, and y'all come back now. You hear?